Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ALGS LAN Roundup. I'm Joe, aka McFluggermuffin, joined by Miles, aka Miloshki, and we've just seen the first proper set of this ALGS LAN. And well, why don't you walk us through the top three teams from each lobby?
Well, I've got to say, quite surprising, to be honest, seeing Team Liquid, Team Empire, and Reject at the top of Group A. A lot of disappointing performances, I would argue, from some of the most well-known teams, including TSM and Optic Gaming, formerly ESA. In Group C versus D, we had ADR or AD Raccoon. That's one of the top teams from APAC North, going absolutely massive with 79 points in first place. Alliance with 73 in second, and Cloud9 in third. Now, I guess we just
Yeah,
want to talk a little bit about Group A versus B first. Joe, do you have any thoughts on it?
I mean, looking at it, it's quite crazy. I mean, Empire from the start came out, very impressively. They won their first match with 12 kills, which you know if you're sat at the end of game one as Empire, you're pretty happy already with your performance. And that gives them a lot of confidence. I mean, game two, not so great, but game three, again, first place, 12 kills. And from there, you're pretty much set for the rest of the set. But I think there's some teams that had sort of a very bad performance. Like you said, TSM, zero kills on World's Edge. Across all three matches, zero kills. Their best placement on World's Edge was a ninth place. That's from a team like TSM, just really not what you expect to see.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Equally, we had GMT Esports only getting 6 points in the first 5 games. Considering how well they were doing in Pro League and that they got through to LAN so easily. Honestly, really, really surprising. Now, part of that did come to the fact that they lost two of their three contests on wall on the first 3 games. They chose not to in the first game, and that ended up doing a lot better. They ended up doing a lot better as a result of it. But yeah, they ended up luckily clutching out with a 20-point win in the final game, which then meant that they ended up getting a reasonable score of 26 points with just 9 kills on the entire team.
Yeah, I mean, that's jumped them from presumably 19th place all the way up to 12th overall in that set. And I mean, that is going to be huge for them going into these next two sets, getting them some extra points. But the potential is there on that team, right? GMT won their last match on World's Edge, 8 kills, which is a very, very good performance. It's the least amount of kills that any team has got when they've won a match, tied with CR's win in match four. But it is still a good win, and it shows that they do have the potential. So hopefully, going into set two and three, we actually see them pick it up a little bit and follow that up with some other good performances.
Yeah, I've got to say for me, honestly, the surprising or the most surprising like high performance was probably from 4-7 with an incredible win in game 5 where they essentially just managed to get Godspot from the start and they literally just sat there the whole game, managed to pick up 9 very easy kills, especially in that last zone, which was rather chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that as well, and teams were just moving into the zone. They were fighting each other, but 4-7 was sat there and just they weren't getting shot at really. They were just picking people off, picking up those kills, like you say. And I mean, it really goes to show that playing a zone, if you read that zone right, it's just so powerful. It's so free in a way.
Yeah, especially when you're playing a Watson comp. Obviously, they're playing Watson, Valk, and Crypto, which means that especially if they find that spot that they want to sit in, they can just bunker up. They're essentially immune to nades because of the Watson generator. It's very hard to push. Arguably harder to push a building with a Watson setup than a building with a caustic, purely because you can't spam nades.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what's really interesting though about Lobby One compared to Lobby Two is just how fast teams dropped out of it.
Yeah, I've really got to
We saw.
agree. Yeah, we saw a lot of games where there were like 11, 12 squads left in Ring 3, while in Lobby 2 we had like, upwards of 17 or 18 squads most of the time.
Yeah, and it's crazy. During Ring Four close of Match One in Lobby One, there was 8 squads left, and after the close, there were 3 squads left. That is almost unheard of in competitive Apex to see that many teams out that early on. There's sort of this assumption that when you go into a Ring 4 close, there's going to be 18, 19 squads left with pretty much no one just, on their own. But in these matches, teams dropped very quickly. And, for some people that worked very well. Empire and Team Liquid clearly thrived in that environment. But, some other teams just really didn't do quite as well as they expected to. Very interestingly, if you look at scoreboard at the top, Team Liquid and Empire, they've got some very good performances inside of Stormpoint. You know, the first three matches there, they take all three wins between the two teams. Team Liquid coming second and third in the matches they didn't win. But then when you look over at World's Edge, they're not doing that well. The highest placement is a sixth place from Team Liquid in that last match, but apart from that, they're dying in the top 10. They're not getting very many kills, and yet they're still topping that leaderboard. I mean, Empire are tied with for points with Reject, but you know, it was really all on those first matches for those top two teams.
Yeah, I think that really goes to show, like, how important it is that you want to be good at both maps for sure. Because while obviously, if you can get that win, a lot of the time, there's a lot of RNG involved in getting, that winning position, on all of the maps. So having like being able to place consistently really does help. And we can really see this from Reject actually, who never won any of the games but still placed above 4-7, getting 59 points with only their best placement being a second, and getting 30 kills, which pretty much matches Team Empire.
Yeah, and I mean,
Reject obviously playing very hard zone. Once again, they have they're playing a crypto comp, so they're liking to play it slow, play for the buildings, and then just kind of move in and hope to like capitalize on all of the chaos that ensues as the ring closes.
something else that was really interesting was the contests that we saw off drop. Not just GMT and Fennec, I believe, or Fennel playing for Wall on Stormpoint, but also when we move over towards World's Edge, we were still seeing some contests. Fennel were contesting LG. Unfortunately, they didn't have quite the success that they had contesting GMT, but that's not something you see all the time from Pro League. So it was interesting to see it happen quite so much. And, for some teams, especially in Lobby 2, which we'll get to in a second, it actually worked really well for them.
Yeah, no, I've got to say, obviously, when you're bringing together all the different locations from around the world, each area has their own kind of meta, and everyone has their own drop spots. And when you sort of amalgamate this together, then suddenly you're getting 2-3 teams in each lobby that want to drop on the same spot. So you're gonna find that especially in these first few rounds, there's going to be a lot more of that sort of early game fighting, which probably accounts for why the lobbies tended to die, somewhat quicker, at least for, say, the first 5 teams when compared to normal Pro League.
As I said, we'll move over towards sort of talking about Lobby 2. Obviously, ADR taking the win, as you said, 79 points overall. 2 wins under their belt, which Alliance did actually match as well. Alliance coming in only just behind them with 73 points. So that's, impressive. Alliance, I think, are a team a lot of people that managed to watch that are going to be talking about because they had some insane performances, especially on World's Edge.
Yeah, absolutely. To anyone that was tuned into Nicewig's stream or the B stream, there's an insane clip of Yuki using the Kraber in end zone where he gets a collateral and then is able to wipe the squad. It would be hard for me to explain it, so instead we're just going to show you the clip.
The wingman out for some reason.
He might.
And the Kraber starts to come. 3 shots go in.
He was feeling him. That's a heat check if I've
That's
ever
a
seen it.
freaking heat check. He just pulled a 3 from half court to make sure he can still
Oh,
hit
and
it.
they get laid
Oh
on.
my god! And he collaterals! He collaterals with the Kraber no scope! And they're gonna get the wipe on the GW! Oh, my god! Yuki with the collateral!
Yeah, and I mean, that, play from Alliance led them into a 19 kill win. That is a 31 point match from them. And, that is where a lot of their points come from, but it has to be said, it was not where all of their points came from. Match 3, they won with 12 kills. Unfortunately, final match, we didn't see a good performance from them. Went out in 19th place with only 2 kills. But it wasn't their fault that they died. No, it was the work of one man who everyone listening will know, NRG Sweet. NRG Sweet is, he's the best IGL, probably in the world, I would say. And he earned that title today. His team, 7th place, not great, but still a solid performance. And the call to third-party Alliance on the contest was great. In that final match, they really showed that they have the IGLing, they know what they're doing, and maybe, hopefully, later on today, we'll see that again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing the next few matches coming up today. It's going to be really cool. One thing I did want to talk about, which was rather disappointing, is both G2 and IG International's performances, both placing in 18th and 19th respectively with 14 points. Yeah, now obviously G2 very scary, what with their triple controller lineup, and Designful in the first game, things were looking really promising, getting an absolutely insane wipe with the car just as zone is closing, but unfortunately that wasn't able to take them much further as they died in 5th place, and that was their best placement for the entire series.
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting because you watch that first match and you go G2. Yeah, they got a little bit unlucky on that round. I believe it was round 5 close. Designful got stuck in a bubble fight. They had to drop low. They lose their Gibby, and really from there it all fell apart. But still, 5th place, 7 kills, solid performance. And I was thinking, all right, this is a team that have really shown up today. Hopefully, in the next 5 matches, we can see them, get into their groove, continue what they've been doing, and maybe even do a little bit better. And that's just not what we saw. Their best game, other than that first one, was an 11th place with 1 kill. So they got 3 points after that first match. And that is abysmal, quite frankly. From a team of their standing, they should be doing much, much better than that. And I think maybe they just need to get their strike packs back on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Equally with IG, obviously they in the split one playoffs, they were literally one single kill. It was a 1v1, one single kill from that championship title. However, obviously with their recent changes of picking up Urban as their third, as Blast has been dropped from their roster, we were expecting great things. Urban, absolutely insane fragger, and they've been doing really, really well in a lot of EU tournaments recently, with Noises as their IGL playing Crypto. Obviously, really, really strong. They're trying to adapt a bit to the way the APAC North plays, where they also like to have a lot of cryptos. But unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to have gone that well for them, with their best placement only being 9th, with 8 total kills between them. Yeah, generally just a very disappointing performance from a team that, has like recently just come absolutely into their own and, has been performing really, really well. Maybe it's the nerves, or perhaps it's, just like not being on your home setup, all that kind of, lack of LAN experience and stuff like that. But hopefully we can see that maybe in these next games that they'll do a little bit better.
Yeah, and I mean, there is one team we have to give a lot of credit to in this second lobby, and that is ADR. ADR, APAC North, I believe, and they are coming in hard. As I said earlier, 79 points. They've lost players throughout this. In match 5, they lost a player, managed to, reset, get him back, and they did kind of okay. But in their 2 wins, 8 kills and 14 kills respectively, that is very impressive, especially as APAC North, I was thinking before this set happened that they would struggle a bit. APAC North play with a lot of Watsons, they play very hard zone, but a lot of NA teams and APAC South, they like to fight a lot. And I thought that could damage the APAC North teams, but it didn't clearly, and they come out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. Equally, of course, we've got very, very strong performances from teams like Cloud9, Kick, Reignite, even without Jen Burton coming in 5th place with 42 points. And although rather surprisingly, Players, which is Hardeki's team, coming in only 9th, only getting 9 of their points from placement, with their best placement being 7th.
Yeah, and I think Players is an interesting team because Hardeki has been playing very, very well. He's been, trying his best to get kills. But unfortunately, I don't know what it is. I couldn't quite see what the problem was, but they just haven't been getting those placements to back up their kills. Their kills are good. 5 kills, 7 kills, 4 kills. Those are good kill totals for solid games. But when you're coming in 9th or 10th, it just doesn't match up.
Yeah, it really just doesn't. And while obviously it's not ranked, it's not like your kill points scale, it still feels very disappointing when, you've gotten rid of teams like yourself, with your own team's fighting ability, and yet somehow there's still more than half of the teams left, and then you're dying. It just feels really, really like hard on the mental. But I'm sure that as time goes on and with the different lobbies that are going to be playing out today, I'm sure that they'll figure out their groove a bit. After all, there is another 12 games for them to play yet before it's potentially, into the winners bracket or into the losers bracket. And as I say, even then, they've still got the losers bracket if they don't come in that top 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very important for the teams that want to do really well, probably taking home the trophy. They want to be winning this. They want to get into that winners bracket. They want to be coming in the top 10 of the winners bracket, because then, of course, they start with points in the final. And that is going to be huge. But you are correct. Just because you lose here does not mean you are out for the count. There is still more chances. But as we go into these next 12 games, I think it's going to be interesting. Will these players break? Because there's a lot of strain on the mental to be playing even just 6 matches in a row, but playing 18 in a day is going to be incredibly straining. And towards the end, we might see some teams really fall off in performance.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'm sure that there were plenty of teams yesterday that chose not to scrim specifically so that they wouldn't feel burnt out, as obviously there's been a lot of preparations going in, what with many of the teams attending a boot camp for the last week before official LAN scrims started yesterday.
Yeah, I think we're very excited to see what is coming up. But that was your ALGS LAN roundup. I've been Joe, aka McClomuffin, with Miles, and we will see you after set 2.